Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now,
but I also want to defend Melania real quick. Not everybody could marry Donald Trump, and I think that's quite an achievement. So I think she deserves credit for that. Nobody up here could have done it.
You sure right, I couldn't do it.
Mostly because they thought he was a good businessman, but that is just because he's a Nepo baby.
Barron Trump just called 911, not for a robbery, not for a fire, but because Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett exposed how his mom, Melania, spent $137,000 on flowers. In Trump world, that's not oversight. That's a felony. Turns out the real trigger wasn't the receipts. It was the woman holding them. So tonight, we follow the petals from Mar-a-Lago's flower bill all the way to Capitol Hill. Buckle up. Every clip in this video is 100% real, unfortunately. No actors, no deepfakes, just America, being America. They said they wanted to restore integrity to immigration. Jasmine Crockett asked, whose integrity? Because when it came to the First Lady's visa, the math wasn't mathin'.
The idea that Trump and my Republican colleagues want to restore integrity and security in the visa process is actually a joke. Let me be clear, integrity is not snatching lawful visa holders off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans. Integrity is not revoking visas based on social media posts that hurt somebody's little feelings because kids decide that they want to go after Trump or this administration. We have a thing called free speech in this country.
She didn't raise her voice. She didn't throw insults. She just exposed the contradiction. A government that raids homes over expired visas, but looks the other way when the First Lady's paperwork doesn't add up. And if that sounds like a double standard, stay right here, because the receipts Jasmine drops next make integrity look more like a designer label than a principle.
Confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now,
after calling out the double standard, Jasmine didn't stop at the system. She went straight for the exception to the rule, the First Lady herself. And let's just say, it wasn't a compliment. An Einstein visa for Melania, not Tyra Banks, not Naomi Campbell, and definitely not someone with a Nobel or a Pulitzer. Because apparently, extraordinary ability now includes marrying a man who confuses executive orders with fast food menus.
Y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Jasmine didn't attack. She didn't speculate. She just read the rule book, line by line, then asked a simple question. If this isn't a double standard, what is? This wasn't a smear. It was a mirror held up to a system that bends the rules for the powerful while preaching integrity to everyone else. Jasmine didn't come to speculate. She came with criteria and asked one simple thing: show your work. But when the First Lady's credentials didn't add up and the spending records started leaking, Jasmine's voice didn't just echo through that interview. It detonated online.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? Is that real? Are they serious about that? That's their new star? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble. I mean, this is Crockett. Oh man. But we've done a job, but they've totally lost their confidence. And it's a hard thing when you lose your confidence, but they've taken a lot of beatings, and now they're going to rely on Crockett to bring them back.
Why does he yell your name? Crockett over and over. And then they're going to bring Crockett.
When a televised interview rattles the man known for rattling everyone else, you know something's landed. Jasmine Crockett didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply told the truth. And Trump couldn't stop saying her name. That wasn't confidence. That was a crack. Because the moment a congresswoman became the new star in Trump's speeches, the internet knew she struck a nerve. And while the pundits scrambled to reframe her, Jasmine didn't blink. This wasn't about clout. It wasn't a beef. It was a spreadsheet with taxpayer dollars and the audacity to ask, where did it go?
We're being accused of wanting all kinds of criminals to be on the streets, or that we don't believe that people should show up to their meetings and appointments. Last time I checked, there's a lot of people that are actually being grabbed as they are going in for their appointments. In fact, we know that one of the candidates that was recently running in this mayoral, he ended up being arrested because he decided that he was actually going to escort people that are actually showing up to their meetings.
Jasmine had every chance to play the game, score political points, trade jabs, but she didn't. She took a different route, the one called restraint. She wasn't chasing headlines. She was following the money. And if that confused her critics, it's because they expected a spectacle, not a strategy. While some politicians fight to stay relevant, Jasmine didn't have to try. Her name lived on repeat, not from her own mouth, but from the people trying hardest to dismiss her.
And personally, I've never met the man. I have no interest in going to the White House and meeting him for whatever reason. I live rent-free.
Rent-free and carrying receipts. She didn't chase attention. She questioned power. And while Jasmine stayed focused, someone else didn't take it so well. Let's just say, not everyone in that household appreciated transparency. Turns out, the best way to haunt Trump isn't to insult him, it's to audit him. When Jasmine followed the money, Barron followed with a police report. No denial, no debate. Just a rich kid yelling, "Help," over a flower invoice. It came from Barron Trump, 18, adult, and apparently offended. His claim? Jasmine's remarks about Melania on TV were harassment.
So, these guys don't play by any rules. They break everything. And right now, they are trying to not only rig the midterms, but potentially rig the next election by making sure that we have more of these complacent, complicit folk continuing to run the House, because honestly, they just do whatever he tells them to do. They don't do what the Constitution calls for, and they don't do what their oath calls for.
No charges filed, but MAGA media went wild. In their version, Jasmine wasn't asking questions. She was attacking the family, because apparently, in Trump world, truth is treason. These guys don't play by any rules, Jasmine said. They just do whatever he tells them to do. And that wasn't just a jab, it was the pattern. Because in Trump world, loyalty is law, and even questioning the First Lady's flower bill might get you booked.
He's the hottest one out there. I gave him
It's very nice to see you. Very nice.
I gave him a shout out last night.
I don't know how this guy made it to the court. He doesn't sound like he's that intelligent, or he pretended not to be intelligent. I'm not really sure. But the base is, we're talking about a case where there was no standing.
Trump once called Barron the hottest one out there. Jasmine didn't even flinch. Doesn't sound like he's that intelligent, or maybe he just pretended not to be. That's how $137,000 in flowers nearly caused a constitutional meltdown. In Trump's world, oversight isn't the offense. Transparency is. The cops were called. But inside Trump world, panic control kicked in. Barron was trending for all the wrong reasons, and Melania, fuming. Not at Jasmine, at her team. They let a congresswoman steal the spotlight with receipts. And when Melania's mad, people don't just get fired, they disappear.
It only looks like he's even more guilty. And here's the deal. Guilty of what? I don't know.
And when the dust settled, Jasmine didn't yell. She just looked around, shrugged, and said, "It only looks like he's even more guilty." Guilty of what? I don't know. Turns out, in Trump world, even looking innocent makes you look suspicious. The cops were called, but inside Trump world, panic control kicked in. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. Melania made a rare appearance next to Donald, by contractual obligation, apparently. But the body language? Let's just say, even bronzer couldn't cover the distance.
Melania Trump made a rare appearance in compliance with Section 3, subsection 2.7 of her prenuptial agreement. And look at the way these two lovebirds interact with each other. Their chemistry, it's positively smoldering.
Please welcome our next Commander-in-Chief, my husband, President Donald J. Trump.
Defend her still today, 'cause there ain't
To me, there's nothing more beautiful than watching a man and his wife try not to smudge each other's bronzing cream.
While Barron was trending for calling the cops, his dad barely remembered to mention him. A very tall son named Barron. Has anyone heard of him? Trump said, like he just discovered him on Ancestry.com.
And then I have a very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him? Thank you.
They want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago.
Meanwhile, Jasmine kept it simple. They want to act like they're blind, as if boxes of classified documents on a party stage were just part of the decor.
AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ, and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test.
President Trump himself on another network criticized you and called you a low IQ individual. What was your reaction to that, and what do you say to that?
He's such a loser.
And when the flower budgets, secret documents, and police reports weren't enough, Trump pulled out his ultimate defense, the IQ card. He bragged about passing a memory test like it was the SAT. Jasmine didn't take the bait. One line, no notes. He's such a loser. She didn't need to match his IQ, just the receipts. And next, she's about to drop more. But Jasmine wasn't done. If a flower bill could spark a police report, just wait till you see what she found next.
The biggest concern that I have is that every time he does something, he has minions that see it as a dog whistle. And then it only increases the attacks on myself as well as any other colleague. But he absolutely consistently buys into this idea, or continues to put it out there, that women of color somehow are low IQ.
She understood the game. When powerful men whistle, their followers bark, especially when the truth comes from a woman who looks like her. But Jasmine didn't back down. She stepped forward. This isn't harassment, she said. This is oversight. And if they thought flowers were a problem, wait until they saw the full bill.
We know that the Pope, yes, the Pope himself, decided that the church may need to have people that are going to escort people as they're going into their meetings. Because the reality is that what they are claiming what they want to do versus what they're actually doing, the actions don't match up. And while we are supposed to be talking about visas, somehow we continue to cherry pick and talk about one criminal act and another criminal act. And it is so very interesting to me that, yes, we will say people are xenophobic.
Even the Pope, Jasmine pointed out, has started sending escorts to protect people just walking into meetings. Why? Because when power stops matching its words, people get hurt. They say we're here to talk about visas, Jasmine said. But somehow, we keep circling back to one crime after another, and one woman. It wasn't oversight they hated. It was who was doing the watching. So Jasmine doubled down. This is not harassment. This is oversight, she said publicly. Then came the receipts, real ones. $137,000 on flowers, spa days for guests who didn't work for the government, candlelit dinners with luxury jewelry brands, all signed off in Melania's name. If oversight is a crime, then Jasmine brought enough evidence for a life sentence. They called her a bully. She answered with a spreadsheet. Names, invoices, dates. No insults, just accountability. It started with receipts, but it didn't end there. Within 48 hours, the hashtag #StandWithCrockett was trending loud, viral, and impossible to ignore. What began as an accusation turned into a movement. Teachers, veterans, union workers. They weren't debating invoices. They were backing a principle. Calling out corruption isn't harassment. It's a civic duty.
We all want to live in a country where we respect the law. So, I'm a bit surprised that Republicans aren't up in arms with Trump detaining and deporting U.S. citizens and people who are lawfully present here in the United States. What Trump and ICE are doing is a disgrace, and it's all being done without respect for our law.
While Melania's team was still Googling how to expense $137,000 in peonies, Jasmine was on the floor of Congress, reminding America what the law is actually supposed to look like. And if the public wasn't fired up yet, someone handed them a mic.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, aka deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much.
The crowd didn't hesitate. Neither did Jasmine. She stood her ground, calm and surgical. No victimhood, no drama, just a cutting reality.
You've got to meet the moment. You've got to meet the moment. And the reality is that we need to be in a fair position. Honestly, Donald Trump would not be causing the havoc that he's causing. It is absolutely ridiculous that I live rent-free in his mind in a time in which the American people are suffering. It's already been reported on as it relates to the inflation.
And as for why Trump kept singling her out? Jasmine didn't speculate. She just smiled and said, "I live rent-free in his mind." Turns out, when the facts hit too close to Mar-a-Lago, even the silence from Congress starts to crack. It wasn't just social media calling for answers anymore. The House Oversight Committee issued a formal statement. They would review every single non-essential expenditure tied to the office of the First Lady. Not just the flowers, all of it. And Jasmine? She didn't spike the ball. She passed the mic back to the American people. "There's a lot he could be working on," she said. "But for some reason, he's constantly focused on me."
We know that the job numbers were bad. We know that this big, ugly bill is going to directly harm so many people, not just the 17 million that are going to lose their health care, but everyone else whose health care premiums are going to go up because $1 trillion is being taken out of the health care infrastructure. There's a lot of things he could be working on, but for some reason, he is constantly focused on me.
Then came the deeper warning. This wasn't just about Trump. It wasn't even about her. It was about who gets to hold power and who's allowed to question it. Whoever controls the House, Jasmine said, will be the one certifying the next election. That wasn't a talking point. That was a red flag.
It's an all of us problem. It's the entire country as well as the world that needs to be concerned. Because first of all, when we think about the fact that this administration has talked a lot about a third term, whoever controls the House is going to be the person who has to certify the election. But he needs to focus on doing what he swore an oath to do, which was to take care of the people in this country.
He swore an oath to serve the people. Instead, he served himself, and they called it patriotism. While the country bleeds, he clings to a brand. A wannabe strongman, wrapped in bronzer and paranoia, terrified of what the truth might do, not just to him, but to the entire MAGA machine.
I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure. They want to pledge their loyalty to him, and they know that he does not want this released. I think that they also are concerned about the damage that it may do. If he's trying to hide it, they understand that it is most likely problematic for him, as well as the MAGA brand, as well as the Republicans.
As Jasmine put it, I haven't seen a single policy that helps the people, but I've seen the fear, I've seen the loyalty tests, and I've seen what happens when someone asks too many questions. Maybe the real threat isn't oversight, it's transparency. So here we are, one flower bill, one congresswoman, one first lady's silence, and suddenly a nation's budget turned into a battlefield. Jasmine didn't curse, she didn't cry, she just opened a folder, and the country saw more than receipts. They saw a mirror. Because this was never just about $137,000 in peonies. It was about who gets punished for asking questions, and who gets protected for never answering them. So the question now isn't, was it harassment? The question is, what exactly are we protecting when truth becomes the threat? If that question hits a nerve, you're not alone. Leave a comment, share the truth, and ask yourself, what else are we not supposed to see? This video contains public commentary, satire, and opinion based on publicly available statements, news footage, and government records. All clips used are for the purpose of criticism, education, or reporting under the Fair Use Act. The views expressed are those of the creators and do not represent any political organization. No allegations are made beyond what has been publicly reported or officially documented. Names and references are used strictly for public interest and narrative analysis. Viewer discretion is advised. Truth can be uncomfortable.